You've been told one version of Jesus your whole life. You've been told about the cross, about Golgotha, about the blood and the beatings and the sacrifice, that he died for your sins. And if you believe hard enough, you get saved. But what if that version isn't the whole truth? What if there's another story buried under centuries of empire and doctrine and fear? A version where Jesus didn't come to be worshiped, he came to wake people. A version where sin wasn't the problem, it was forgetting who you are. In the ancient Gnostic texts, the world we live in isn't a creation of a loving God. It's a trap, what the Buddhists would call samsara, or the wheel, karma. A prison built by a false creator, a blind god that's known as Yahweh or Yaldabaoth. And this being believed he was the ultimate power, but he wasn't. And he created the physical world not out of love, but out of ignorance and ego. And in doing so, he trapped fragments of divine light, us, inside a simulation of suffering. This is where the Messiah comes in. Not as a blood sacrifice and not as a moral teacher, but as a disruptor. He was a spark from the divine source, something known as the pleroma, or the all, or the oneness. And sent not to die, but to remind you of what you forgot. His teachings were hidden in parables and in riddles, not because he was trying to be mysterious, but because the truth can't be handed to you. You have to remember it. You'll hear phrases in the Gnostic text or the Gnostic gospel, such as, split a piece of wood and I am there. Lift a stone and you will find me. He didn't preach salvation. He preached awakening. The kingdom is inside you and it is outside you. As above, so below. According to the Gnostics, Jesus didn't suffer. He wasn't nailed to a cross out of punishment. He allowed it to happen as a demonstration. In some of the texts, it says, I was not crucified, another stood in my place. Why? Because spirit can't be killed. Only the illusion bleeds. And according, again, to the gospel, the text, to the Gnostic text, Judas, he wasn't a traitor. He was the only one who understood the plan. And he didn't betray Jesus. He helped him escape the flesh. Jesus didn't die to pay your debt. He exited the simulation. After the crucifixion, the story didn't end. Jesus came back, but not in the flesh, but in visions. And he came to Mary Magdalene and to Thomas and to those who could still hear. And he taught them that salvation wasn't through obedience. It was through a Greek word known as Gnosis, or knowledge, inner knowing, memory. That the soul is a light and the body's a tomb. And what we call death is just a passage back to the source. He told them the kingdom wasn't coming. It's already here if you can see it. What we now call today Christianity, that's not his gospel. That's Rome's version, dressed in robes and rituals. And let's not forget, for centuries, the Roman Empire hunted and killed early Christians. They were arrested, tortured, executed, thrown into the Colosseum, fed to lions, torn apart by wild beasts. They were stabbed, burned, and shredded by gladiators, all for refusing to worship the empire's gods and Caesar. But then something changed. In the year 325 AD, an emperor, a Roman emperor known as Constantine, he called the Council of Nicaea. And it was not to find the truth, but to standardize power. And they voted on what Christ was, voted on which book stayed, and voted on which stories got buried. So, for example, the Gospel of Thomas, that got buried. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, buried. The idea that divinity lives inside you, that's way too dangerous. Render unto God what's to God, and what's to Caesar. So that was erased. Because again, gnosis, or knowledge, inner knowing, is uncontrollable. And empires don't want free minds. They want obedience. So they swapped the memory for doctrine, and guilt replaced awakening. Mystery became submission. The Vatican was never about the kingdom. It was about the throne. And they crowned Christ in gold and nailed your soul to a rule book. If the real Christ walked into a church today, they'd crucify him. And not for blasphemy, but for being awake. The real resurrection wasn't a body coming back to life. It was the soul remembering itself. The Gnostic Christ came to shatter that system, not to sanctify it. And if you're waiting for him to come back, I think you missed the point. He's already here inside you. To my fellow Catholics, message to you. You are not broken, and you are not cursed, and you are not filthy. You're asleep. Jesus didn't come to fix you. He came to wake you up, to remind you that the light is still inside you, beneath all the trauma, beneath the flesh, and beneath all the lies. The kingdom is within, and you were never lost. So happy Easter, and like always, remember to lift more, eat more, rest more, love more, and hate less. Thank you, guys.